Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. You know, as a chef, I get so many questions about equipment. What's the best pan? What's the best pot? What's the best blender? Well, we're going to answer those questions today because my guest is Dr. Aimee Wrubel. She is a fifth generation family member for the Vitamix Corporation, and she's going to answer all your questions about the Vitamix on all their products, why you might need one, and she's also going to demonstrate how it can make delicious, vegan, sugar-free ice cream in mere seconds. Please welcome her to the show. Fifth generation Vitamix family member. Hi, Dr. Aimee. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. It's such an honor to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. So you're gonna I'm gonna put you in the top three for best hair. We talk about hair on the show. We've got Lauren Bernick, who has a regular slot. She has Carrie Bradshaw hair, and then we have Dr. Kelly Casperson. Love your hair. Would love to be able to get mine to stick up even more. So if you have any hairstyling tips and tricks, please let me know because it looks fabulous.
Thank you. I used to have long hair and it was just too much of an effort for me, very thick. So I chopped it off and I will never go back. I love it short.
It is hard, I think, once because I had long hair once too, but once you get used to how easy it is to have short hair, it is hard to go back. I wanted long hair for my wedding, and then the minute was over, and I've never looked back, like you say.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. So fifth generation. Wow. So what does that mean? Like your great great grandfather invented Vitamix?
Exactly that. It was my great great grandfather. We call him Papa Barnard. Way back in 1921 was when he started the company. And actually, blenders weren't even around at the time. He was selling household gadgets to help people have access to healthier food. So, can openers was one of the things that he was selling for a while. And the Great Depression came. He was really just trying to support his family. Then he came to Cleveland, which is where our headquarters is now. And in 1936 was the World's Fair in Cleveland, and he saw the blender for the first time. But it was being used to make sort of alcoholic beverages and mixed drinks like that. And he just saw the potential for how you could use this creation for eating healthier. And so that's what he did. So he started selling blenders and really just improving upon that idea. And he had a whole food health store for a while. There was a lot of sort of iterations of the company, but eating healthfully was always so important, so much so that he named the Vitamix blender the Vitamix. It's mixing life. So that was always very important. That was over 100 years ago, 100 years of history. We just celebrated our 100-year anniversary, and we opened up a museum on site, and we're really excited about that. But I've got a little piece of trivia I can ask you about history in general. So, Chef AJ, do you know where the very first infomercial was filmed?
Well, I'm going to guess now Cleveland.
I kind of gave that away a little bit. So it was actually my great great grandfather that did the very first infomercial for the Vitamix. There was open air time, and so he thought, let's get this show on the road and show more people. That's how our company grew. As we talked to real people live in person and showed them the power of the machine in person, and then took it to the airwaves. And now you have shows like QVC where you can also buy Vitamix now on QVC, and it's really interesting how that has developed. And we have strived to create the world's best blending equipment to help people live healthier lives, and we've really seen a lot of benefit from that.
Did you ever meet your great grandfather?
My great great grandfather had passed away, of course, before I was born, but I did know his son, my great grandfather, and my great grandmother. We tend to live long in my family, eating healthful foods made in the Vitamix, of course. So, yes, I did know my great grandparents. My great grandmother, Ruth, who our culinary center here at Vitamix is named after, she wrote a lot of our early cookbooks, and she passed away when I was in college, actually.
Wow. How did your great great grandfather, I mean, I'm guessing he was born in the 1800s, even know or care about healthy eating? Were people not eating healthily that far back in human history?
I mean, when people can eat processed foods, they want to eat processed foods, right? That's just our nature. So they actually had followed the Pritikin diet. So it was a vegetarian diet. And as you know, that's not always the most popular thing to do. So they were always looking for healthier ways to live. And so even back when it was easier to eat healthy than it is today, they were still on the forefront of how can we do better.
That's interesting. I'm going to ask you a question from a live viewer
Okay.
named, yeah, I should wear glasses. Debbie, I love my Vitamix. Will there ever be a blender pitcher comes with a removable bottom for easy access to contents and for easier cleaning? You have something you're going to show for easier access to contents, but I can't answer the cleaning one.
Right. So our containers, as you know, many owners know, they come already with the blades intact, and there's a few reasons for that. One is this machine is so precisely designed with the blades and the container and the motor base that we didn't want to mess with perfection by having people remove the blades. Also, it's a safety issue. Our blades aren't actually terribly sharp. Part of them are, but where it gets its power from is the flat front of the blade where it smashes through the food. But that was actually by design, and the ease of cleaning the machine, which we'll show after we make our recipe, is that you can add warm water and a drop of dish soap, run the machine on high speed, and essentially make a soapy water smoothie to really clean effectively. So that's really the best way to clean it. We do have a product, and I can talk about that now if you want, the under the blade scraper.
Yeah, I need to get one of those because that's always, if I had one tiny bone to pick with Vitamix, is that it was always hard for me, especially in the case of like a sorbet or a hummus, to get that stuff out of the bottom.
So there are two products that can make this easier. One is called a blender spatula. So this is all silicone, and it's great for even getting in jars at home. But it has the silicone edge, the spatula edge all along both sides and the top. And so this makes it really nice for getting your hummus, everything off the sides, and for scooping at the bottom. But to get all the way underneath the blades, we came out with this under blade scraper. And both of these you can find on our website, Vitamix.com. And you can see the tip has a different shape. So it actually gets underneath the blades very nicely, but then it also can scrape along the sides of the container as well. So this allows you to get every last morsel out of your machine. We do make a container that does have the blades separated, and that is our, Ryan, if you wouldn't mind grabbing one of those examples, that is our personal cups that we have. So if you're making a like a single serve smoothie, and only, by the way, only certain ones of our certain lines of our Vitamix are compatible with these. So check your compatibility on our website. So we have, these single serve containers that you can put your smoothie in and blend it up with, here it is. So the blades would attach so separately like this. So this would spin on and then sit on your motor base. So this is a lot easier to get underneath. But the full size machines we do have as all one piece. Thank you, sir.
That's very cool. I love that.
Thanks for the questions.
Yeah, that's nice that you have that. We have a regular on the show named Lissa Maris from Raw Food Romance who loves your products, and they keep talking about a vacuum blender. Is that really that much better? They make it sound like it's the best.
We have looked into that. We are always constantly looking at, different blender technologies and how we can always improve. We have a whole team of engineers that work with our chefs in the kitchens and, test our products. We're testing other companies' products. Vacuum blending is not a direction that we've decided to go in.
I thought that was your product she was using. It sure looks like she's using a Vitamix.
I will tell you, there are a lot of products out there that try to look like a Vitamix, because if you want people to buy your product, you want to look like the best, and people tend to know that Vitamix is the best.
Sorry. You know what? I just assumed it was a Vitamix because it looked that. I'm going to have to that. Ask her why.
Take a closer look at it.
Right, because it seems like all the raw food chefs, at least that I know of, use Vitamixes, because when I didn't hear about your product, honestly, until about 21 years ago when I went to culinary school, and it was a raw vegan culinary school, and that was the blender that everyone used, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are very popular in the plant-based community because, you're throwing in these really hearty foods that you want to break down, and the Vitamix makes it really simple for you to do that. So it's, no surprise that our name gets thrown around a lot in this community.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you measure the strength of a blender? Like, how do you, when they first came out, they're much more affordable now for the masses than they were 20 years ago, I remember. And even places like Costco, you can get them. And how do you measure the strength of a blender? And so how do you, I'm not trying to convince people to get a Vitamix if they don't want one, but there is a difference between a Vitamix and, a $20 blender at Walmart.
Absolutely. And that's a really great question. So we are in the category of high powered blenders. So you can measure the strength of the motor, and we have a peak 2.2 horsepower output motor. And it's kind of a fancy way to say it's just a very powerful motor. But the interesting thing is, it's not just about how much power that you put into the machine. It's about how it's all designed together. So it's very powerful motor, and that very powerful motor spins the blades. And those blades are specifically designed to chop food, to break up ice. The blades themselves are really important. Some blender companies just put sharp blades in their containers. Our blades are designed at the bottom of our containers with a few different really interesting qualities. So the tips of them are a little bit sharp. So, you don't want to be sticking your hands down in there, of course. But the leading edge, like I said before, is flat. So imagine that you want to be breaking up ice. Would you use a knife or would you use a hammer?
I would say a hammer.
Right. So a lot of you got the right answers. That wasn't supposed to be a trick question. So when we're making smoothies or we're making anything that is, breaking up tough foods, that hammer-like quality of just exploding the food is much more effective than just slicing through the food. So it's the blades. It's also how our containers are designed. You'll see we have these sort of inserts, these divots, and that helps to create the signature vortex. And you can see, our logo here. That is the vortex that you'll see when you're blending a smoothie, you're blending an ice cream, how the ingredients get sucked down into the blade. So it's really how everything works together and that final product. And, when we're testing our machines, we're testing them against other machines that are out on the market. We do a variety of different tests. One of which is we blend the same thing in all these different blenders, and then we run it through a sieve. And each level of the sieve gets finer and finer and finer. And time after time, we find that things that are blended in the Vitamix blender will come to the bottom of this very fine sieve, and other blenders get caught up because the particles are a lot larger in these tests. So there's a lot of ways you could look at it, stats on the box, but at the end of the day, it's ease of use, how long it's going to last for, and your outcome. And, we stand behind our products. We have long warranties. We're an American company. I'm sitting here in Cleveland, Ohio, at our headquarters. So, we're making these things to last. And, most of these machines last a lifetime, and you get passed down from generation to generation.
Amazing that they last that long. What is the warranty for a Vitamix or any of your products?
Yeah, so the longest warranty that we have on some of our new Ascent line machines are 10 years. Depending on the model, we'll have different warranties that come with them. Some of them have 5 years, some have 7. So check out the model that's of interest to you. But our warranty really does cover everything from, if it's the blades, it's the container, machine. Our customer service is amazing as well. They really do a great job of diagnosing potential challenges, of helping people through even just recipe questions. So I always encourage people to call 1-800-Vitamix to, if they have any challenges or concerns.
Thank you. Dixie's saying what she likes about the Vitamix is it makes hot soup. You can't do that in a regular blender.
That's a really good point. So our blades are so fast that just from the friction of the blades, like you rub your hands together and it gets warm, that actually is what cooks the soup. There's no heating element in the base. So that's what gives it that awesome quality of being able to cook. And people often ask me, well, how can you make ice cream that's frozen and cook hot soup that's piping hot in the same machine if there's no heating element. Well, it's about what you put in the machine and how long you're running it for. So if you put all room temperature ingredients in your Vitamix and you want to make a soup, you'll let it run for about 5 to 6 minutes and it will be nice and piping hot. But the ice cream that we'll make here today, we're going to be using frozen ingredients and it's only going to run for about 30 to 50 seconds. So you have this wide range of things that you can make in your Vitamix. And, the vast majority of them is all in just the one container that comes with it. We do have some accessories now. We have a food processor and things like that, but we really try to keep things simple.
Yeah, I'd love to know about the products that I don't know about
Yeah.
because that would be really interesting to me because I think you're mostly known for the blender. Teresa said she got her spatula with hers and it works great. And these items that are you can get them on your website, right? The little spatulas that you showed.
Correct. Yes, those are on our website.
Nice. Karen asks, will Vitamix ever make a 32-ounce container for the A3500? And what are the different numbers? Because like I've only really seen the Vitamix at Costco and it's just there's one type. There you don't choose. You buy it or you don't buy it. So how many different types of blenders are there? And how does a person know if they're buying it new, which one to get?
Great question. At this point, I'm not sure the total number of models that we have. We do try to create a range of machines for different price points, for different looks for kitchens. We have lots of different color options. We have different size containers that can come with the machines. And some of the biggest differences that you'll want to think about is, would you prefer a machine that has automated cycles? So this machine that I have in front of me, this is the Ascent 2500. And this, if you can see the front of it, has 3 pre-programmed cycles for the 3 most common things that people are making in their Vitamix. That's smoothies, frozen desserts, and hot soups. So that's like a set it and forget it sort of a situation. You turn it on, it will automatically start low, ramp up to the highest speed, and run for the appropriate length of time, and then shut itself off. That's particularly helpful when making a hot soup, since that is about 5 or 6 minutes. So you can, start cleaning your dishes or doing whatever else you're doing, and then can come back to it when it turns off. Now, if that's something that is not important to you at all in a machine, that's totally fine. We have machines that are completely manual that don't have those extra features. Those tend to be a little more affordable since you're not having the extra technology. So now we have our more advanced line called the Ascent line. It has the options of fully manual. It has the options of 3 programs, or you can get touch screens with 5 programs. We have all of the options in between for whatever works best for you. But the nice thing about this new line, the Ascent line, is that it has additional technology called self-detect. Now, the reason that it has that is so that we can add accessories. So the smaller personal size container that I showed you before will fit on that machine. Now, why do we have the self-detect? It's for the ability of the machine to actually change the programs based on what's sitting on top of it. We also have with our Ascent line, the food processor attachment. So this is our food processor attachment. It sits on top of the base, just like your blending container would.
That's amazing. That is a more new product, right? Because I hadn't heard of that until recently.
Yes, this is a little bit newer. This does have an S-shaped blade, like your normal food processing blade. And then there are a handful of different discs that you can swap out for fine shredding, thick shredding, slicing, all the things that you would do with the food processor. But the machine knows that what's sitting on top of it, and it modifies how fast the blades turn. And since our older models don't have that technology, it just wouldn't work with this new these new accessories. So that's the reason that we have the self-detect, and why at this point, not every container will work with every machine. But we do have 32-ounce containers. We have 48-ounce containers. We have 64-ounce containers that are all the what we call the wet blade, which is just your sort of normal blade that you would use for most things. We have a stainless steel container that's new. That's really exciting if you want to be grinding spices or things that might normally be retained in the container, like turmeric has a tendency to sort of stain. So things like that, it's really exciting. And this brings us back to some of the look of our original machines with the stainless steel. Some people in the audience might have a Vitamix 3600 at home, back from the 70s that was all stainless steel. Maybe it has a spout on the front. It's probably still working today because these things are just beasts. They last for forever. So we're kind of bringing it back to some classic looks and the advantages of stainless steel.
Wow, that's incredible. Rich, who's watching live, is saying one of the things he likes most about the Vitamix is that the speed is variable, that you can control it, up and down.
That's a great point.
I felt bad about talking about a vacuum blender, so I texted Lisa, and I was right. It was only the jug. The base she used was the Vitamix. I knew it was a Vitamix.
Okay. That's
So
awesome. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm not familiar with people modifying.
I just never heard of that technology, and I couldn't figure out why that was just such a big deal. But the base was a Vitamix. How many colors do you have? Didn't it start out just black initially?
Yes, well, initially it was stainless steel, so it was all metal. And then when we had the color bases, we had, just white, and then we introduced black, so you could do black or white. I myself was a Vitamix demonstrator about, let's see, it was the year I went vegan, so about 2011. And that was it. It was black or white, and it was a 5200 machine, and that was sort of your only option. But now we have, like this machine here is red to match your kitchen. We have gold labels, we have silver labels, we have like you could get blue. QVC is the place that tends to have a lot more color options, but on our website, each machine tends to have about 4 different options, like the slate gray, which is really popular right now as well. So a lot of different color options for you to match whatever, your kitchen is.
Is there a best place to buy it? Your website, Costco, QVC?
Great question. Costco, we definitely have really great prices at Costco for those people that are members there. We have the Vitamix Roadshow that will come through and have special machines that are the Ascent line packages. That'll be a really great price. Their machines that are right off the shelf are also a great price as well. You can always come to our website and actually, Chef AJ, your listeners until March 31st do get a special discount on our website. If you go to Vitamix.com and enter code Chef AJ, they will be able to get $100 off of 2 of our machines. So that's just special for the viewers here. That's the Reconditioned A2500. So this machine that we're going to be using here today, a reconditioned version of that, or the new Propel 510, which I do have in the back corner here, comes with a 48-ounce container. Both of those have 3 programs and a 5-year warranty as well. But really, I know there's a lot of different models that we have. There's different places that you can buy, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. What I like to tell people is if it says Vitamix on the front, you're getting a great machine. The rest is just sort of different bells and whistles. The size of the container, whether or not it stops automatically, that's not going to change the fact that you're going to have the best machine right on your counter. So as long as you're sticking with the Vitamix name, you're going to have a great time.
Nice. Thank you. Are there certain models that fit? Some people like their counters and their cabinets. There's not a lot of room. Are there some that just fit a little bit better underneath and aren't so tall?
So our older machines, our kind of classic models did have a 64-ounce container that was tall and skinny. And then that was one of the things that we got from feedback a lot was, it's a little bit too tall to fit under my cabinets. And so we did redesign the 64-ounce container. And this is our low profile container. It's a little shorter, a little bit wider. And so we still make the old one, the older style as well, but this was sort of the redesigned version. But also the machines that come with a 48-ounce container, maybe you're just living by yourself, you don't really need to make big batches. That might be a better option for you as well. And that, of course, has a shorter stature. But we definitely listen to feedback and try to make these machines as best as we possibly can for you.
Nice. Okay, so if you listen to feedback, Dr. Aimee, what I would like, this is my only thing because my eyes are older and even with glasses, it's hard for me to see the lines to do measuring. I like them when they're like black and really easy to see, the ounces.
The ounces on the side, yes, we do have the on either side of the container, we do have the labels of the ounces. I would say my recommendation would be to, either not use this for measuring. You could use like a measuring cup and pour it in, or these are raised because it's part of the mold. Run a Sharpie over the outside of it and you'll have yourself a black label.
Okay, yeah, because that's the only thing, because I don't like to have to dirty another measuring cup when I can see the line, very, very easily. So thank you. TS says I'm sorry if I don't know if you're TS would like to know how to cover the blender, or do you sell plastic covers to muffle the sound? It's so loud and awful in my old house. I actually stopped using it. Thank you for any help. When I go to like Jamba Juice, which is like really rare, they seem to have those mufflers. I don't know. Are they using Vitamixes at the smoothie restaurants?
Absolutely. So, you go to the biggest coffee chains, you go to the biggest smoothie shops, and you take a look at what they're using behind the counter, and it's going to be a Vitamix. And there's a reason for that. They're looking for the best product that's the most consistent over time and it's going to last the longest. And they're using those machines constantly, and they last. But to address the question, I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was. I was so excited about
Oh,
chat with
if
you.
you have
Oh,
a sound,
the noise.
if you sell the sound mufflers.
We don't sell those on our household machines. Our commercial machines do have those. I will say, I'm not going to shy away from that. Our machines are a little bit loud. They're a very powerful machine. One thing that I could recommend is if you put a towel underneath, that does help to absorb some of the sound in your house. But at the end of the day, you're not running them for terribly long. So for me, a small towel underneath helps to kind of absorb that sound.
Right. So Lavanda, who's watching live, says Vitamix is the Rolls Royce of blenders, and they have great customer service.
I love hearing all this feedback, and it's great to have everybody live. When I was a Vitamix demonstrator, some people would just walk by and just shout, Vitamix is the best, or, I've had mine for 20 years. And people that have never heard of the machine would say, oh, did you like pay that person to? No, people just love their machines and we love to hear about it. So thanks everybody for
I
commenting.
love that you have the demonstrators. And when people would ask me for years, because that was the first high powered blender I bought right out of culinary school. And they'd say, should I buy a Vitamix? And I never wanted to say yes and then them be unhappy. So I'd always tell them to go to Costco because well, it's changed, but back in the day, you could have like a free 1 day pass because I wanted them to see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I felt like that if they were unsure, they should go and see the demonstration.
That's very true. And that's what our whole business was built on. It was, being in person. We would go to, we still do, we'd go to county fairs, we'd go to state fairs, anywhere where we could get a booth and just talk to people and show them. And it really does make a huge impact when you have this machine and you are throwing, whole carrots and whole fruits and vegetables, and you blend it up right in front of them. And then you get to taste the product. I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Well, I always tell people like what is, I think, the most unique and maybe best feature of the Vitamix if they're deciding, because obviously, there are some blenders that are called high powered blenders that are more affordable. But what Vitamix has that I don't think any other blender does is the tamper.
The tamper, yes, that's very exciting. You will see some machines that have these now because our 20 years on the patent ran out. So it is funny to see other companies that said, oh, you have to use that with the Vitamix, that's why they're not good. And then here they are selling it now with one as well. But this really does extend the use of the machine. And it's really so simple. But for those of your viewers that might not be familiar with it, so simple tamper tool. It goes inside the top of the lid plug, the hole created there, and it never touches the blades. Never touches the blades as long as you keep your lid on. So keep your lid on when using it, but you use it to press the ingredients down into the blade. And when we make the ice cream, I'll show you how to use this. It really speeds things up. It makes it so simple to use. It helps so that you don't need, to chop everything up into tiny pieces. if for some reason something's not getting caught by the blade, use this to just shove it right down into the blade and it'll get blended up really nice and simply. So it extends the use of your machine and really makes it so that you can make more things in your Vitamix. This is the reason you can make peanut butter in your
Yep, I
Vitamix.
actually did that. I used to have a TV show called Healthy Living with Chef AJ. It was on, but now it's on. I have put the episodes on my YouTube channel, but the episode with Dr. Colin Campbell, I actually made it. So, yep, it's fantastic. There's a question if you will ever have a 32-ounce self-detect container.
I am not part of the development of our new products, so I can't say for sure if that is coming down the pipeline or not, but I will definitely give that feedback to our development teams.
Well, thank you very much. Let's see if there's any questions. Ah, that's funny. Jolene is making hummus in her Vitamix right now.
Oh, that's great. Can you share some with us?
Oh, Jay wants to know, do you have a company store in Cleveland? And if so, are the prices cheaper than at Costco?
We used to have a company store. This was before the pandemic. Unfortunately, there was an accidental fire and we had to shut the whole thing down and we never got it back up and running. So unfortunately, we don't have that anymore, the in-person store. I am not sure if there are plans to reopen anything like that. But I think it would be great if we did. But I don't think that the prices would necessarily be lower than it would be on our website. Our website is really straightforward, and we have great sales that happen, particularly around, like Mother's Day was always something that's been a part of our special lineups because family is very important, of course, to us. But yeah, always check out our website for some great deals. And like I said, the code Chef AJ will, help support Chef AJ's show, and you'll get, a little discount on those machines as well.
Thank you. Well, here's a really good comment from Teresa because she's saying she got her Vitamix in 2010 and it's the best. And she said before that she, bought like $35, $50 blenders over and over, but they'd burn out. So eventually, it's just worth it to get a machine that's going to last the rest of your life.
Teresa, that's really good comment that you made there with not only, you buy cheap, you buy twice, that saying. Vitamix really is an investment. We know we're more expensive than other blenders, but the investment is that you're not going to have to rebuy over and over and over again. We have that protection with the warranty. So if something were to go wrong, we'll be able to make it right for you. And just the longevity of these machines in general make it definitely a worthwhile investment. But talking about burning up machines, this Vitamix is a workhorse. It has a really powerful motor. But sometimes there are things that can push it to the limit. And if you do end up pushing it to the limit where the motor would get too hot, where it would kill a different blender, we actually have a thermal protection switch in here. So Vitamix senses that it's getting too hot, it shuts itself off. All you have to do if that happens is let it cool down 45 minutes to an hour, and then your machine will be ready to use again. So that is worth its weight in gold because you're not, destroying your machine, it's protecting itself. So it's another reason that these machines last, the test of time.
Fantastic. There's just so many. I had no idea you'd have so many fans of the Vitamix watching live. I mean, we didn't plan this, but Lavana says, I used to wonder if they were worth the price. Now, absolutely. Susan says that her 5200 is great, but doesn't make up for her S series that died. Is the S series still made?
That is one that we discontinued. The S series was part of our smaller, more personal blender size that you can sort of recreate a bit with the those personal cup size, the 20 ounce, and we also have an 8 ounce as well. We don't make those anymore, unfortunately, but yeah, they were very popular.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a powerful blender because I actually blended the lid. Did you ever hear that story from John? Is John your grandfather?
John is my great uncle, so he's my grandmother's brother. But can you share the story?
Oh, sure. Yes, very embarrassing. So I did a culinary demo at the NHA conference. I believe it was 2019, if I remember correctly. And they had brand new Vitamix there. And at the time, I mean, it had, it's got the round black lid it's got like a little plastic thing that goes in it. Well, I didn't know that I was using the tamper. So I didn't know that little plastic thing was in the blender and I blended it. And it's embarrassing.
Well, we've heard lots of stories for sure from our customer service team of people blending up their protein powder scoops, and we've seen Barbie fingers under the blades. There's a lot of things that people have accidentally blended, but it's a powerful machine, and it's going to blend up what you put in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it ruined the machine, but but obviously we couldn't enjoy what was in it. But of course,
I wouldn't recommend drinking that.
of course I do it when the president of Vitamix is in the audience. Oh, here's a great question from Becky. Aren't there advantages to the tall, narrow container versus the wide, shorter container? Or are there advantages?
Sure. So the 64 ounces that comes in the tall comes in the shorter, wider container. The advantage of the taller, skinnier container, if you will, because it has a smaller base, you do need less of a minimum amount to blend. So for example, if you're blending something that is just a very small amount, you're not filling it all the way up to the top, you don't need as much to cover the blades. So you need to cover the blades, of course, to be able to blend anything in the machine. And so there's just a lower minimum requirement in the shorter, or I'm sorry, the skinnier containers.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Ryan, for watching live. And Ryan's being very helpful answering the questions on Instagram, where we're now.
Thank you, Ryan.
Newly, because it's hard for me to go to all the different screens where we're streaming. So thank you. But Lynn Kitty says, I have an Ascent, barely used it. When changing to higher speed, it surges to higher speed. What am I doing wrong?
When using it manually surging to higher speed, it should be a very gradual, like as you bring the dial up, it also ramps up. So if there's something where your machine is not functioning properly, call 1-800-Vitamix if you're in the United States. Or you can go on our website and see, if you're not in the US, what that would be for you. And talk to customer service. A lot of times they can diagnose things over the phone, say they will listen for what's going on, and they can diagnose certain challenges. Whether it's user error or if there is something wrong with the machine, definitely get in touch with us, because we'd love to help you with that.
Thank you. And then there's a question from Valley Girl. Are there any vegan soup recipes on the Vitamix website, or does Chef AJ have any recipes that can be used in the Vitamix? So I can answer the recipes in my books that are definitely Vitamix recipes. In Unprocessed is the gazpacho. In Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, it's the Dream of Tomato Soup. I mean, there's actually quite a few that are Vitamix recipes. So do you know of any, Dr. Aimee?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I love working at Vitamix is I work with our chefs, and we have these recipe guidelines for how what we think about when we're making recipes. Now, not everything that we make is whole food, plant-based, SOS free, but it's very easy to modify to that if that's your dietary choices. We're very focused on whole foods. So we have a lot of options for vegan soups. If you go to Vitamix.com and you click on recipes, there are filters, or you can even just search for, vegan. You can search soup, and there will be a number of things that will come up. We also have a recipe book that is vegan and vegetarian, that has a soup section in it as well. I know that book in particular has a Dr. Furman cancer fighting soup in it that has like 30 different types of vegetables in it. Obviously all vegan, but yes, we do have lots of options for vegan soups. And even if there is a soup that you find that maybe calls for, chicken, you can obviously swap that out for tofu or a different, type of protein. And usually people in, this world know how to modify things pretty simply, but we do have actual vegan recipes on the website as well. Great question.
Nice. Well, speaking of vegan, you're felt vegan or plant-based now, I believe, since 2011. And I'd love to know your story about when you became that way and what kind of doctor you are. You're a doctor of Vitamix technology. No.
Dr. Vitamix. Yes. So it was about 2011, and I accidentally read this book that was a vegan book. So I'm sure some of your listeners might be familiar with the book Skinny Bitch.
Yes. That's funny.
I picked it up at an airport, and I thought, this sounds interesting. I'm always interested in what people are doing, diet wise. I wasn't overweight, but I just always think it's interesting, the different, fad diets and things like that. And I will tell you, it does not say anywhere on the cover or the back of this book that this is a vegan book.
That clever marketing, huh?
Yes. If it did, I probably wouldn't have picked it up because I don't think I had any interest in that. So, I read the book and, the first half of it, it didn't really mention anything about vegan stuff. And then there was a chapter on, this is why milk is bad for you. And I said, well, hang on. I've never heard that before. And the more I read, the more I was just opened up to this world of knowledge that I had no idea existed. So that really lit a fire in me to read every book that I could get on the topic. And eventually I went vegetarian first, and then I eventually went vegan. I joined a vegan dating website and I met my husband.
No way. That's amazing. Can you say the name of it? We got to have them on the show. This is great.
Yes. If they're still around, hopefully they are. Veggieconnection.com was where
That's
we met.
fantastic. That's amazing. Oh, I love this story.
Yes. So I also at the same time found an interest in running, and I started running marathons. And so the combination of completely changing my diet and, exercising a lot more than I was, I just felt incredible. And so I thought to myself, wow, there really is something to this whole diet and exercise thing that people talk about. And I knew I wanted to share that with the world. I knew I needed to tell other people about this, but I wasn't quite sure how to do that. My whole life, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And at this point, I had graduated with a degree in zoology, but I didn't want to be a vet anymore, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So reading all these vegan books, I said, I need to tell people about this. So I found out about naturopathic medicine. And basically, a naturopathic doctor is a physician who really looks for the root cause of disease. So instead of just writing a prescription to, make the symptoms go away, you're really looking at why is your body doing this and how can we fix that so that you can be healthy. So we reestablish the basis for health. And a lot of what we look at is these lifestyle choices. The biggest killers in the country, are heart disease. And, those are, as we know, reversible through diet and lifestyle. So I think that's so powerful. So I moved to Chicago and I went to school to become a naturopathic doctor. My school also offered a program for chiropractic as well. And I really fell in love with just being able to help my patients with physical manual medicine. So I added that degree on as well. What's another doctorate degree when you're already having another one? So eventually graduated with 2 degrees and I moved back home. And, I started practicing and I loved it. Working with people every day, being able to open their eyes to how food impacts your health and how food can, really make or break it at the end of the day. So a lot of people don't know this knowledge. I'm talking to you, you talk to people about this every day and it's so inspiring. And
Absolutely.
I did an internship at True North Health Center. So,
That I
food
want to
and
hear
not
about.
having
Oh,
food.
that is so exciting. First of all, I've also wanted to be a veterinarian. I went to the University of Pennsylvania, instead became
Wow.
a vegetarian. But I love that you did an internship in True North. Do you remember what year it was?
Yes, I was there just before graduation. So that would have been 2018.
Well, that was, I think, the last year that I was there. I used to do a program the month of December. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I heard your name there a lot for sure.
Wow.
I was not lucky enough to get to meet you, but they've got your cookbooks and everybody talks about you so lovingly there.
That is so cool that you did that. I love that. I love your whole story where you met your husband. Here's somebody that Cheryl bought her refurbished Vitamix on the website years ago, and it's still going strong. So Claudia says she has 2, one at home and one at her vacation spot in Mexico. Yeah, that's the only thing bad about having 2, not bad, but if you have 2 homes, you got to have 2 of everything, 2 air fryers, 2 Vitamixes, that kind of thing. So
When you fall in love with your machine, you want to have one everywhere you go. I definitely have heard people traveling and going on vacation with their Vitamixes.
yeah, absolutely. Stephanie asks, when making a blended drink, is it okay not to go all the way to 10 when blending? Hubby likes to raise the speed to 7 or 8 when he makes his drink in the Vitamix.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of is it okay. I mean, if it's user preference. So how the machine works is it's 1 to 10, and those are the speeds. So 1 is the slowest speed, 10 is the highest. If you have some of our other machines that have a switch that go from variable to high, then the highest speed is actually flip that switch up to high. On some of the newer models, 10 is the highest speed. Now, the slower speeds are meant for more type of food processing. You know, you can drop in your onions and chop them and they'll be larger pieces. But the faster that you raise that dial, the faster the blades go, the finer your pieces are going to be until you're at the highest speed. And that's where you're just obliterating everything. So if you want the smoothest smoothies, if you want to be cooking your soup, you are going to want to use the highest speeds. But if you're blending up different fruits, maybe some vegetables for a morning drink, and you like to have a little bit of texture to it, that's really just user preference.
Nice. Thank you. And then Susanna would like to know, when making things with frozen fruit, should we start the machine in low and slow and then crank it, or should we just start on high?
Every single recipe that we have where you will be using high speed, we recommend to start on the slowest speed and ramp up to high. You don't need to do that very slowly. You can do it over the course of 1 to 2 seconds, but just for the longevity of the motor, it actually is preferable to start on the lowest speed and then ramp up. And all of our automated cycles will do that as well. Start low and then get faster.
Thanks.
Great question.
Tia says, I have an older model. The container is big and wide. The 20-ounce container it came with is too little. Does your site have a 48-ounce available?
We do have 48-ounce machines available. Look to see what model you have. And the 48-ounce, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, the 48 ounces should work on all the machines, correct?
Yeah.
Any machine that is not like a 3600 stainless steel from like the 70s, it should fit on.
Thank you. And Tina says, I got the newer, shorter pitcher model at Costco before Christmas. Is there a taller, narrower pitcher that would fit it?
The taller, narrow ones can fit on these. Do they function as well on the? Yeah, they should work on that as well. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
A lot of
And
them are interchangeable.
Sue says, I love the Vitamix for my cruciferous vegetable smoothie. And Becky says there's a great celery potato soup, very satisfying and easy to make. Maybe that's on your website. Oh, you don't practice anymore though, naturopathic, right? Somebody's asking if you see patients in Pennsylvania, but you're not seeing patients right now, right?
No, so to continue my life story, I was practicing for a few years and it was amazing and I loved helping people, but the schedule that I was following was very demanding. And my husband and I wanted to start a family. So we knew that that was not going to be sustainable. And it just so happened that at the same time, Vitamix was looking for somebody to come in and help promote the whole food nutrition, just the importance of that internally and externally as well. So it really just turned out that, being able to join the family business and still be able to promote food and lifestyle changes, but in a different way than being in practice, really, worked out well with, my lifestyle at that point. So I am no longer practicing at this point, but I do love being able to give back and spread the word through Vitamix.
Well, I hear that one of your newest products is a 6th generation Vitamix family member.
I do have a little, 2 little 6th generation Vitamix family members. I actually am fresh back from maternity leave with my second. And so now I have a daughter and a son, and it's so exciting. My daughter loves smoothies. She loves using the Vitamix every time. She hears it come on, she comes running around the corner, smoothie, smoothie, smoothie. And she helps me, run the machine, and she loves grabbing the tamper, and she knows exactly, what we do with it. So I love being able to have fresh, healthy whole foods. She loves green smoothies. It's a great tool for families, definitely.
Did you have plant-based pregnancies?
Oh yes, I've been plant-based since 2011.
Great. And so the kids are eating plant-based too.
Yeah, we try to feed them as many, vegetables and everything as we can. We also want to be a little bit lenient. We do have them go to 3 different places throughout the week. And so we don't want to be overbearing parents, but at home, everything's plant-based. This is the way that we're eating. And, they don't really put up too much of a fight. Well, the youngest is not eating foods yet, but yeah, eventually.
Let's see. Jolene says, is it worth it to get the personal size blending cups? I've been looking at them for years and I'm waiting for a good sale.
Well, that's really going to be a question that you need to answer yourself. If you are making smoothies at home and you really only make enough for one portion, one person, um, then that might be something that's a great idea for you. The advantage of those personal size cups is that they do come with a lid that you screw on that then has like you can put a straw in it, or you can just drink it on the go. So if you find that your lifestyle, you want to make a smoothie and head off to the gym, and you're looking to save some time, that could be really beneficial for you. Or if you like making things in general, just in smaller batches, you want to make some salad dressing, for example. I have them at home, and I do prefer them for things like salad dressing. And then you can just keep that container in the fridge, and you don't even have to, kind of wash that right away. So it really depends on, your lifestyle, but it is always, an option for you as you can look at them for years. And so it might be something that can help you be more effective in your life.
Oh, great. And a couple of people are asking in the chat if when you buy a refurbished model from the Vitamix website, if there is a warranty of any kind.
Yes, depending on the machine, I believe 5-year warranties are pretty standard with our reconditioned machines. And our reconditioned machines are a great way to get a Vitamix. So those machines are looked over every inch of the machines. You get a new container. So you don't have to worry about that. The container itself is new. We look over the entire machine, make sure there's no, major damages or anything like that. And we are testing all of these. You wouldn't even know that it's not a new machine. I myself am using a refurbished machine at home. They still have a wonderful warranty on them. So you do save quite a bit of money also by purchasing a refurbished machine. So that's definitely something that I recommend to people.
Right. Are there available products outside the United States? Somebody's asking, or is it just a US product?
That's an excellent question. Yes, we do have products available in 160 countries, I believe we're in. I would go to Vitamix.com in your country, see what you can see is available. We do have, you can purchase through other avenues as well. I'm not as knowledgeable about our international products, but I do know that you can purchase them. They might look slightly different just based on different regulations in different countries. But as far as like the power of the motor and all of that, you're going to see that amazing, final product throughout.
When you're making like fruit sorbets just from frozen fruit, is it essential to add liquid? Do you have to add liquid to a Vitamix to get it to blend?
Not necessarily. It does make it usually a little bit easier, especially depending on how frozen, your fruit is. It can also help to make things a little bit creamier. I also recommend doing avocado, maybe like half or a quarter of an avocado for that creaminess, that texture, or bananas also help to give that creaminess and texture. Speaking of, we do have a recipe that we can do here today. If this is a good
I'd
time
love to see the recipe
segment to that.
because one of my questions, and I was saving it till you did the recipe, is what's the best way to clean the Vitamix in general, but specifically like mine, I don't know, I don't think it was turmeric, but it's gotten so cloudy and I'd like it to look pretty again.
Sure. I can show you after we make the recipe how to clean it with your everyday aspect, but let me just address that cloudiness now. When people say that their containers turn cloudy, that's actually something that I love hearing. And that's for 2 reasons. One, that means you are using it a lot. If your machine looks as perfect as the day you got it, you're probably not using it very much. The other thing is that the reason that you'll have cloudiness is because of the minerals from the food. So it's just a buildup of minerals. So it's not, if your container gets cloudy, it's not harmful. It's from the residue of the healthy plant-based foods that you're eating. So if you've got a really cloudy container, you're making some great stuff. Now, how can we prevent or get your container back to its nice clear self? You can use a combination of a 1-to-1 proportion of white vinegar and water. Let it sit overnight. Give it a light scrub with a non-abrasive brush, and doing that relatively frequently can help reverse so keep it clear and then also prevent that as well.
Okay, so is it too late for me since I wasn't doing that regularly, the 1-to-1 vinegar? I mean, I'm going to try it tonight now that I know. And does it matter if it's hot water, room temperature, or cold water?
If you add room temperature or hot water, you can even let the Vitamix run for, 6 minutes to get it hot if you want to do that. But sitting it overnight, eventually it is going to get
And,
cold.
and fill it up all the way to the top, right? With half
Yep.
mixture and half water.
Yep. You can fill it up all the way if you'd like. It should help with the cloudiness that you have. Now, if it is cloudiness on the bottom that is actually etching from grinding really tough ingredients, that etching is not going to go away. But the general cloudiness that the containers sometimes get, that's a great way to sort of take care of that. Absolutely.
Going to do that right when we get offline. I'd love to see the flavor ice cream you make. I think that probably sells Vitamixes even better than smoothies sometimes when I've seen the demonstrations in person,
It is something that is unique to Vitamix that, you can make such an awesome product in a short amount of time and make it healthy. So we're going to be making a dairy-free ice cream here, of course. I love that it's so modifiable. You can, add whatever ingredients you like. You can make your own recipes. You can kind of customize it, and you can make this healthy, decadent dessert at home. And it really is impressive for when you have guests. So I'm just going to turn this here a little bit so you can see my machine a little bit better. And so this recipe that we're doing here is the mint pistachio ice cream. You can find this on our website. You should see the link as well in the description. And this is actually modified from Talia Furman, so Dr. Furman's daughter. I recommend her cookbooks. She's got excellent recipes, especially if you like the sweet treats. So we're going to start off with a half a cup of dairy-free milk. So the recipe calls for oat milk. And if you go to Vitamix.com and you're following along with this, there's actually, if you click on where it says oat milk, that is a link to a recipe for oat milk that you can make in your Vitamix. Following a plant-based diet, you can make your own non-dairy milks in your Vitamix very simply. You can do your own soy milk, you can do almond milk, you can do oat milk, and really it's just those ingredients plus water. You can filter it if you'd like, or strain it, or you can leave it as is, keeping all of those beneficial fibers. Again, really customizing it to what you and your family would like at home. So we're starting off with just a little bit of that. Next, we're going to be adding a cup of pistachios. So obviously you don't want the shells on them. The Vitamix can blend that up, but I'm sure you wouldn't want to eat those shells. Like we mentioned before, the Vitamix is really awesome at making nut butters. So we're essentially making a pistachio nut butter in our ice cream. So that's going to give it some really great flavor. We're also going to be adding some vanilla extract. That's optional if you don't want to add that. I think it gives it a really nice full flavor. And then, of course, for our mint pistachio ice cream, we're going to be adding mint. Now, this is fresh mint leaves, and they smell amazing. Gives it a nice fresh flavor to this as well. I am going to finish this off with some frozen bananas that I'm going to grab out of my freezer here. Now, Chef AJ, I always keep frozen bananas in my freezer at home because along with any other frozen fruit, it's really simple to just make your sorbets or your non-dairy ice creams at home with just having whatever you have in the freezer. There we go.
And when you keep your bananas frozen, you slice them first?
What I tend to do, I actually slice these nicely so that they would look nice on camera. But what I usually do is I peel them, I put them in a Ziploc bag, and then I just kind of like chop them with my hand because then that way you don't have to use the entire banana based on just how much you're adding. So if you want to just throw in a whole banana, that's totally fine. It just makes it easier to measure if you're going based on the measurements as well. Okay, so we're going to secure the lid here.
Yeah, that's important because I can tell you another funny story if you want, but yeah, you got to have the lid on.
I will say, when I first started my Vitamix demonstration job, I was like really excited after my first show. I'm like, I thought I was good at the Vitamix before, but I'm really a pro now. I threw a party with all my friends, and I definitely painted my ceiling because I thought I knew better and turned the machine on without the lid. So I did make a mess. So if it happens to me, it can happen to you too. Make sure that you secure your lid at home. Now, before I turn this on, because I'm not going to try to talk over the machine, I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. So the machine that I'm working with here is our A2500. This is part of our Ascent line. We have some options here on the machine. I do have the manual side of the machine with the numbers 1 through 10. So I could just start on 1, ramp it up to 10, run it for about 30 to 40 seconds, and then just turn it off manually. Or I have my automated cycles here, my smoothie cycle, my frozen dessert cycle, and then also the hot soup. So you can see the timer that pops up. So for the hot soup, it will run for 5 minutes and 45 seconds. We're on the frozen dessert cycle here. So this will count down this timer as we go. I'm going to use the tamper as well. You want to stabilize with your opposite hand when you're tamping, just because this doesn't lock in place. And that's also, that's a built-in feature with a little bit of wiggle room here. We get that question a lot too. This is made purposefully to have that little bit of wiggle room in there as well. So I'm going to turn the machine on and we'll see you in about 30 seconds. So you see how that turned off by itself? So that was our automated cycles. That makes it really simple. And I'm not sure how the audio came through, but you might have been able to hear what I call the Vitamix growl, or this kind of chugging sound. That is actually a good sound. So if you've got a Vitamix at home, you're making ice cream, don't be afraid of that sound. You want to hear that when you're making ice cream, when you're making peanut butters, hummus, that really tough, thick blends. That sound tells you that you are getting the churning of the ingredients underneath the blades. If you hear sort of more of a high-pitched sound, that's the blade spinning and not catching anything. So that really is important to be able to push those ingredients down into the blade with that tamper tool. So we've got a nice frozen ice cream here.
I love that. I once did it above my head and I'm like, please work, please work. Yeah.
Definitely would do that as a Vitamix demonstrator. It's always fun to wow a crowd. So here is our fresh ice cream. Let's see if I can get you a close up here. We've got a pistachio mint ice cream. I'm going to give it a try because it's delicious.
Oh my God. Ryan just typed something really interesting in the Instagram chat about using denture cleaner. I have that. I don't have dentures, but I wear a retainer, and that's what the doctor told me to use to clean it once a week. That sounds cool. And other people are saying baking soda.
Yep, and there can be a few different natural things to help with your with cleaning that out. Actually, it's interesting with the denture cleaner. That's really helpful for a lot of things. You can use it in your Vitamix as well. Helps to get coffee stains out of coffee cups if you do caffeine and tea stains. So definitely very helpful to have around the house for more natural cleaning. Thanks for the other feedback, guys. I appreciate that.
Nice.
And I know you asked for a demonstration on how to clean the machine. This is one of my favorite things to show people. Sometimes people have had a Vitamix machine for decades and they never realized that it can actually clean itself. So one of the best features about your Vitamix is that you don't have to worry about putting it in the dishwasher. Our newer machines, like the ones that are the Ascent model of those, you can put it in the dishwasher. But honestly, I've never put mine in the dishwasher. It kind of takes up a lot of space and it cleans itself, so you don't need to. So what I'm going to do is just rinse this out, add some water and just a drop of dish soap, and we're going to make a soapy water smoothie, and that's how we get it clean. So let me just add some water here.
Nice. That's very, very cool. When you come back, I'd love to know what your most popular model is and what your most popular color is. 'Cause I could have sworn I once saw it in purple on QVC. Is that true? I have it. Mine is red. No, actually, I have two. I have a black and I have a red. So I have one as a backup, but the red one has the shorter container, so it fits under the counter. Did you hear my question, Dr. Aimee, what your most popular model and most popular color is?
I would say our most popular model right now is the A3500. That is this one here. And this does come in multiple different colors. This one is our gold label, but we also have ones with silver. So depending on what your kitchen is looking like, this has the touch screen. This is the one that I have at home actually, and has the touch screen. It's a little bit fancier, more modern looking. That is definitely very popular. As far as our most popular color, Ryan, do you know what our most popular color is right now?
Stainless steel and black are always big sellers.
Interesting.
Stainless steel and black. So anything kind of neutral tends to be really popular, although we've had red for a while. My dad has had a red one since probably 2005, and I always thought that that was like the coolest thing. So I like that you have red as well. So what I have in here is still some of the ice cream is left on the sides. I didn't do like a super clean rinse, and you don't have to. Adding some water, a little bit of dish soap, and then we're just going to run it on high speed. So we're going to start on the slowest speed, and then I'm going to ramp it up to high. This will give you a good idea of how quick you can ramp it up to high speed when you're making smoothies and things like that too, because that's also a common question we get. And that's really all you need to get everything cleaned underneath the blades. And then you rinse, and then that's it. Super, super, super simple.
That is so cool. You know what I don't like is every now and then a date pit gets in there, and because you can hear it.
A date pit? Oh yeah, you don't want to eat those.
Yeah, no, well, it doesn't. I mean, it grinds it up, but not 100%. And then you're drinking, it's like a yuck. Even when they say pitted dates, it's not always pitted.
You always have to check your dates because yeah, there's sometimes where there's a little bit left.
Yep. Tina says, I use my Vitamix almost every day. It's about 2 months old. Sometimes when I make heavy duty 64-ounce smoothies, it smells like the motor is burning. Is this normal?
For a new machine, there might still be a little bit of perhaps some dust from the factory that can be burning off a little bit. So that can be normal. Give it a little bit of time. And if it's still happening, for sure, call 1-800-Vitamix and see if there's something extra that's going on. But if it's a new machine, there's a little bit that still could be burning off in there.
Nice. And I don't know if you can say, Jay's asking, what's the cost of the most popular model?
The most I don't know it off the top of my head. Ryan, do you have he'll get it for you. There's I'm not sure that we have a baseline with it. And then we also have a package, a kitchen bundle that has the food processor as well. Ryan will get that price for us.
Yeah, the A3500 is at right now at $649.95.
$649.95 for
that's the regular price.
For the regular price of the machine itself.
And what's the lowest entry point for a new model? Do you know?
So some of our more classic machines that we still produce, like the 5200 is one that if you Google Vitamix 5200, you will find hundreds of thousands, probably millions of reviews because we've had that machine for so long. It's been so popular. It is sort of a no frills, do everything that you need, but there's not automated cycles. There's not touch screens. It's just sort of like your basic Vitamix. So a reconditioned Vitamix 5200 is definitely a great option, but we also have some other sort of entry levels in the Explorian line and the Venturous as well on our website.
With the 100% off on the Recon A2500 that they can get with that code.
Oh, is that better?
That price down to $299.95, which is one of
Yeah, so under 300, that's pretty darn good, actually.
Yeah, Ryan is pointing out that with the code CHEFAJ, that will bring down a reconditioned version of this machine, the A2500, to $299.95. And getting a Vitamix under $300, as you pointed out, is really a great deal.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
There's a question about fava beans. Can it whip fava water into whipped cream? I don't know. I've never had that.
Like aquafaba? Is this probably what you're talking about?
Maybe that's what they're talking about. Can it whip fava water? So maybe you mean aquafaba.
Aquafaba probably. Yeah, we definitely work with that. You can use your your regular container. We also have a container that has a disc blade in it called the air disc container. You may have seen companies making a cold foam for their drinks. This is what they're using. So this actually is designed for whipping and muddling specific drinks like that. This is the air disc, AER, the aeration disc container. So, we really thought of it all, but absolutely, there's a lot of people in the vegan community that are using, the aquafaba to create things like the mousse and whatnot.
Thank you. So Clark says, has the blade ever broken off when making a smoothie with frozen cucumber and ice cube?
Broken off, not that I've heard of. No, we've got
Wow.
some really awesome blades. I think the only time I've really ever seen damaged blades is if somebody drops a metal spoon in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that it's broken off. It might just be, dented.
And Stephanie says, is the blade unscrewable from the bottom of the pitcher?
It is, but we don't recommend doing that. Sometimes there's a need for a blade replacement from our customer service, they'll send out a kit. But normal use on your Vitamix for longevity, you really have no need to take it off. I've been using Vitamixes for years. I use mine at home constantly. And I've never had to take mine off at home ever.
Thank you. And Clark says, can you get the Chef AJ discount if you're in Australia?
Unfortunately, it's US only. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Then I'm going to add that to the show notes. Well, this is really
Thank
interesting.
you.
Maybe you'll come back. I'd love to see your food processor or and don't you have a composter too or something?
We do. So we have a food cycler, just trying to complete the whole cycle of, when you're growing food at home, and then you can make something wonderful in your Vitamix. And if you're not using, banana peels or things like that, you can throw it into the food cycler as well. You can check out, we have 2 different models on Vitamix.com and more information there as well.
I love diving deep into products with people that either created them or use them regularly. So maybe you come on sometime and show the food processor, show the other products, because I think this helps everybody, even people that already have them, can learn something. There's a nice comment from Debbie in capital letters, love my Vitamix with a heart. Yeah, I think everybody that has one actually likes it. Oh no, Snowy Girl, her husband knocked over the new container and put a crack in it. Oh.
If it's a new container, give us a call, 1-800-Vitamix. If you're in the US, I'm not sure what the number is if you're outside of the US. But give us a call, tell us what happened. We want to make it right for you.
Well, thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you, and thank you for diving deep into the Vitamix.
It was such a pleasure to be here. I really is an honor, and I appreciate you taking the time to be with me today.
It was really a lot of fun, and please come back and show us all your other products. It was really fun. And Ryan, thank you so much thanks for helping me monitor the chat. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in about 45 minutes at 1 p.m. Pacific time for another great show. We have Chef Kelly Williamson, and she's going to be making Italian food, vegan, of course.